Teachers are quitting mid-year at rapid numbers, and here's why.
This is the time of year that principals and districts fear.
Okay, so this year I've decided that I'm not going to go back and teach anymore.
So you just quit your job as a teacher? Mm-hmm. Why'd you quit?
Because we don't get paid.
How much?
Six years ago, I quit my job as a high school English teacher and never made it back to the classroom. And in hindsight, I think it was one of the best things that I ever did. It has been a stressful ride, but quitting that job truly made me see life and the world in a completely different way. I grew up in a super small town of like 2,000 people. The choices for what you could do in your life after high school basically meant be a nurse, be a teacher, or be a farmer of some sort. And I have nothing against the way that I grew up. However, I got into teaching, I just had this feeling every single day of like, is this really it? Like, is this really the way that I'm gonna be living my life every single day? There has to be like so much more out there for me to experience. Quitting that job has really forced me to be in this headspace of, we can always figure it out. There are so many different paths. There are so many different options. You can always decide at any moment that you want to do something different in your life. It does not matter what you went to school for. It does not matter where you came from. It does not matter where you currently live. Is there gonna be a little bit of struggle while you figure it out? Yeah, absolutely. Like, finances were really stressful for a really long time. One of the reasons I decided on teaching, although I was very passionate about it, it was because I knew exactly where my life was going to end up. I was going to go to college, I was going to become a teacher, and then I was going to teach, and that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I didn't even have to worry, I didn't even have to think about it. It's quite literally the opposite of where my life actually ended up going. At one point, I had my dream job as a teacher. It was the weirdest feeling to wake up every single day and realize it wasn't really my dream anymore. It wasn't a lifestyle I wanted to live anymore. And I had this overwhelming feeling of dread, waking up at 50 years old, looking back at my life and being like, I could have done something else. I could have done so much more. I could have gone out and found a different dream. So I don't know what the moral of the story is. I don't know if I'm necessarily in a very good place to be giving advice. I can tell you what I learned from that situation was you can always pivot. Nothing noble about staying in a life that you are unhappy in. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, you're gonna look back and realize that was the only one that you had. And I just refuse to live it unhappy.
Now I don't have a job. So here is how I kind of came to this conclusion about leaving teaching. Began this school year, I would have never believed you if I would have told you that I was leaving, because I intended to teach at least a couple more years because I love what I do. As the year progressed, I started realizing I wanted some things a little differently for next year, for the 26-27 school year. So I talked to my principal about some things possibly that could be different. I was taking a leadership class, and I thought maybe I could get a different position at my school district and maybe move up. Not really an assistant principal or anything like that, but just a different position. But in case none of those came through, I started looking for a job, knowing that I really wasn't going to leave school. I kept teaching, but kept looking. While I was looking, I would get really sad because the thought of leaving school made me really sad. And I cried a few days, few nights. I cried a few days more and a few nights because I loved the children. I love being there. I love what I do. But then the longer I looked and the longer I had more issues in my classroom and the more difficulties I had with kids or with situations at school or bigger stresses that I had at school, the more I thought, wow, I wouldn't have this if I wasn't a teacher. I started really looking harder for a full-time job, and I tried to look for a job at a university so I could continue my retirement system and maybe work there for a few more years. The thought of not working with children kind of made me sad, but also really excited because the amount of stress that comes with managing the kids, keeping everybody happy, keeping the parents happy, keeping the admin happy, being a parent to all these children, raising these children, and keeping them academically where they're supposed to be is rather a challenge. I love it, but sometimes it's really difficult, especially when you've got kids misbehaving or just not doing what they're supposed to do, which is normal, but when you don't get support, it makes it even harder. I finally just said, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna walk away and I'm gonna get a full-time job. Of course, I had to get my husband's blessing before I did that. So he said that I could. I did. And I went and told my principal that I was going to leave. I felt really excited after I did it. Now I don't have a job. I mean, I'm still teaching. I'm going to finish the whole school year till May 22nd. And I'm really excited actually now. I'm going to miss the kids, but I'm really excited now that I don't have to deal with half the stuff of the broken system parts of it. But now I need to find a job. And nobody's given me an interview. So I need to find a job. So again, come with me along on this journey because it's not as easy finding a job as I thought it would be.
This is the time of year that principals and districts fear. Why, you ask? Because this is the time of year where teachers are making a decision as to whether or not they will return to that school next year or the school district next year. That group of teachers that I talked about earlier, the 1 to 5 year teacher, they out of here. I worked with one who told me she would rather work at Starbucks. Okay? That's one. The second group of teachers, 6 to 10 years, maybe 11 years, they're leaving. They're updating their resumes as I speak. They're updating their cover letters. They are making connections. They are using social media to their advantage. Hey, what are you doing since you left education? They are learning what their skill set is and taking their skill set someplace else. That last group of teachers who are closer to retirement, they're submitting early retirement. They're submitting early retirement, and they're not looking back. What's going to happen next school year is the $1 million question.
I quit my job. I ain't quit it. I put my 2 weeks in. I think I had finally had enough. I had reached my wits end. Y'all saw it. I just had me enough. And you know what? A lot of the times people think that it's the children. Like, oh, working with children is stressful. And it is. It is. But 9 times out of 10, we don't quit because of the children. We quit because of the adults we have to work for. And what happened was we had got a new head person in charge, administrator, supposed to be director, whatever, right? Her demeanor towards me just was off from the beginning. She made it very, very clear that she did not like me and she did not like my way of teaching, the methods that I used. Yeah, there was a situation where I just felt like I was talked bad about in front of the whole staff or whatever. So that was it for me. Once you start doing like this to me, you start being disrespectful and rude and you trying to like prove a point and it comes at my expense. Nah, I got to go. But I was also accused of showing favoritism to a particular child, which is ridiculous. Let me tell y'all something really quickly. You cannot accuse me of something if you're never there to see it. And I'm gonna just leave that where that is. But that's fine because I feel like I need to step away from childcare anyway. I just want to do something that allows me to have a little bit more freedom, something that brings me more joy, you know. But y'all know I be gardening and stuff. All these little plants right here, I grew them all from seed, Bookie. That's all me. I'm a freaking gardener, freaking farmer, horticulturist, agriculturist, whatever.
I left teaching. Let's talk about it on my way to line dancing. I'm going to attempt to give you the full rundown from start to finish of what happened. And, you know, we might just burn a few bridges in the process, too. So I just want to first start and say I went into this school year, so August of 2025, absolutely pumped. Ready for changes that my school was making. I was just ready for an awesome year. And I know that the students coming up, the last year's teachers, when they were second graders, were miserable, literally like saying they cried every day. But I was like, nope, it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. False information. So needless to say, this is not how I thought things were going to end up, obviously. But let me tell you, these children came out the gate swinging. And I literally mean swinging, okay? I had about 4 different students suspended by the 2nd or 3rd week of school for various reasons. And I just knew then I was not going to last. I went to my principal and I literally told her, I was like, I'm gonna start looking for another job. I can't do this. I cannot live my life like this. I was literally miserable, crying literally every day in my car in the parking lot. It was absolutely awful. And a little background, honestly, 1000% becoming a mother totally changed me. And people honestly asked if I was like more forgiving when I was a mother, like when I became a mother, like as a teacher, if I was more forgiving. Honestly, no. I think I was harder on them and harder on the parents too, because I realized how many parents are not parenting their children, like at all. And now as a mother, I really see that it's a parenting problem, and I could not handle it the way I used to when I wasn't a mother. Only the moms will get that. So I was coming home literally every day with an absolutely empty tank. I had nothing left to give. I didn't want to play with my daughter. I didn't want to cook dinner. I literally just wanted to rot and be left alone. Like I didn't want to answer any questions. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, and I knew that is not, I couldn't be that mother. My mom worked at a job that she absolutely hated when I was younger. She would come home mad, angry, upset, and we would argue and not get along. It literally took until college for me and my mother to get along. It took me moving out of the house, and I did not want to repeat that cycle with my daughter. That was not an option, and I could see myself going down that road because I was coming home absolutely miserable. So I updated my resume, I updated my LinkedIn, hadn't done anything with that since college, obviously, because I got hired right out of college, and I started applying like left and right to ed tech jobs, and I was getting denied left and right to said ed tech jobs. And I posted a video, and it was like asking for a friend, like if you left teaching, what did you do? And honestly, the biggest thing that I got out of that was it's all on who you know. So I took that and I ran with it. We all know people love to say, oh, how's your year going? I was 100%. Anytime somebody asked me that and they were not in the teaching profession, I said, honestly, it's awful and I'm looking to get out. Do you know anyone that's hiring? And that is how I got my job now. So around November-ish, I did a Zoom video chat with the boss at this new job. It was supposed to be like 15 minutes. We talked for like 40 minutes. It was a really great conversation. They invited me to lunch with everyone in the office. It's a very, very small office. Like a week or two later, so I went to lunch, and right before Thanksgiving, they extended me an offer for this job, and so I, me and my husband talked it out. I did take a slight pay cut to take this job, but absolutely worth my sanity, the pay cut. And on December 1st was our first day back after Thanksgiving break. I turned in my resignation. Now, this is where things get a little dicey, and I might have to go into other major details on a different video, but basically, the superintendent called me into a meeting after I turned in my resignation. I guess he did not agree with my resignation and my reasons for leaving. He basically attempted, I would use the word very lightly, to bully, again, using that very lightly, to get me to stay by threatening my teaching license, even though I literally said I was leaving the teaching profession altogether. So I guess maybe he just didn't put two and two together that I didn't really care about my license, but whatever. So basically they did not accept my resignation, and the board, our school board, votes on resignations, and he said that he suggested to them that they vote based on I could leave once they found a replacement. And I quote from him directly, which at this point in the year is pretty much impossible. Meaning, I don't think they were going to try very hard to even find a replacement for me. So I asked in that meeting with him, I said, okay, well, what happens when I don't show up in January? And that's when he said, I will be forced to email the VDOE to have your license suspended, and that would be very unprofessional of you. And I just looked at him and I said, okay. Because I was willing to live with that. Well, one, I didn't need my license, and two, half the district already thinks that I'm unprofessional, so might as well just keep that ball rolling. So I waited for the board to vote, because the board has the end-all, be-all say. And I actually emailed our board and I asked to speak with them regarding their vote on my resignation to explain myself. And it was a very formal, very nice email. You know, I still have the screenshots from it, so I'm going to put that right here and you can pause it and look at it. And the only reply that I got was from a member of the board talking shit. So needless to say, I was absolutely fired up. She replied all to my email and clearly did not mean to do so. And so I was ready to go to that board meeting guns blazing, you know what I'm saying? And I got up there to speak, and I did speak in front of the board, and I'd be happy to share that video on a later note. And I decided to go against what I had typed up because it was a little rage-ish, because obviously I was mad. And I just turned it into the fact that, one, this lady does not know me. I've never met this woman a day in my life. She has never stepped foot in my classroom. No one from that board has stepped foot in my classroom ever. So they didn't even know what I was dealing with, but yet they were the ones who could decide if I had to remain in that environment or not, which I think is absolutely crazy. If you have that much power, then you should be in the classrooms seeing what these teachers are dealing with, right? Like, not reading a book to kindergartners for 5 minutes. No, you need to go in these classrooms with the teachers that are complaining of behavior problems or, you know, having all these issues, and you need to actually see what's happening. They're not going in those classrooms, right? They're going to go in the advanced classrooms, the gifted classrooms. They're going to go read the book to the kindergartners, okay? And so basically I explained in the meeting how that should change, if they should have that much power. Do I think that's going to change? Absolutely not. And I packed up my room and I left the day of our last day before Christmas break. And I started my new job at the beginning of the year, so I still got my Christmas break, and I started my new job, and I have absolutely loved it. It's amazing. I am trusted to do my job. It's just wild. Like, literally the corporate world is totally different. Like, I come home, I have all this energy to give to my daughter, to my husband. I'm excited to cook dinner. I'm excited to give her a bath. I'm excited to play with her, you know, go on a walk, ride a bike. Like, I literally have so much energy. I'm so much happier. I am literally a totally different person than I was. And looking back, it's really scary to see, like, how mean and how hateful I had become. Like, all I did was complain. And all I did was just be sad and irritated. And I am no longer that person. And it has totally changed my life. So, yeah, don't be afraid to leave the teaching profession. The grass is greener on the other side. They water their grass. Their sprinklers work.
So you just quit your job as a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you quit?
Because we don't get paid.
How much were you making?
$65,000.
What were you teaching?
Engineering.
That is
And
not
so
nearly enough.
I had to lock in, take care of my kids. So I got a new job as a logistic manager.
Nice.
$75,000 a year. And I work from home.
That's a level up.
Friday was my last day.
Nice.
That's why we all outside.
What was your first paid job?
I worked at a pumpkin patch.
How much were you making there?
$7.25.
Were you like driving the tractor with the hay?
God, no. I was making hay bales.
$7 is not enough for that.
And I guarantee you, they're still paying $7 to this day.
What is your most memorable money fail?
I got drunk as and I was walking. You remember the snow creek? Mm-hmm. I curb stomped myself and broke all my front teeth.
How much did that cost you?
$1,000 the next day.
What is a money habit that you swear by?
Live my life, yes.
So this is a bit of a strange one for me. It's Sunday night, last day of the Easter holidays, and I'm not going to school tomorrow. I'm no longer a teacher. Who am I? What am I? If you've been following some of my previous TikToks, I'm Amy, and I'm no longer a teacher. I've quit teaching. I had been a teacher for 22 years, and I decided I'd had enough. I've got a new job, which I'm going to start on Tuesday. I've no idea what I'll be doing on my first day, but I'll just turn up and smile. Anyway, it's a strange feeling. I'm thinking about all you teachers out there who are going back to school tomorrow, and there are many of you who are dreading it. If you are, and you do want out, then I will be posting some tips, and I'll be posting some videos about my interview questions, and I'm going to put a bit of advice on how you can go about converting your transferable skills into a new job. So I wish you lots of luck for the morning and the rest of the term, and follow along if you think any of my videos might be useful to you.
I resigned from my teaching position. Let's talk about it. I'm a third-year second grade teacher, and last week I put in my resignation for the position I've had my whole teaching career. My fiance is graduating physical therapy school this May, and he recently accepted a position in Boise, Idaho. So we will be moving there this July. So I will be applying for teaching positions in the Boise area, which I'm so excited for. If you're a teacher in Boise, or if you're just from Boise, please send me a message. I would love to chat. I've actually never been there, so the first time I'm going will be the day that we move, which is crazy. But my fiance did his clinical in Boise for 12 weeks and he absolutely loved it. And so I'm having faith that I'm also gonna love it. So if you're from the area, please send me any and all recommendations, places to go, things to see. It feels crazy that I'm going to be going through the hiring process again. I have been applying to jobs that have become available. There hasn't been too many posted yet, so that's been kind of stressful, but just know that if you're a teacher who is in the interviewing process or applying, I'm in the same boat and I feel you. So yeah, if you want to tag along for this next chapter, I'm hoping to share all things hiring, interviewing, moving, all the things. So
teachers are quitting mid-year at rapid numbers, and here's why. In one of my first years of teaching, I was in the middle of class when a student from another period stormed in on his cell phone yelling. He ran up to me and put me in a headlock with the phone on my ear. The person on the phone was his mom. They were both angry that I gave him a failing grade, 20%, not 0. For a lab report, he wrote about an investigation we didn't do. The administration patted him on the back and sent him to class without consequences or any type of punishment. This student was a tall, burly high school boy, and I was a short woman. Administrators told me that it was illegal for teachers to press charges and report students for assault and battery. After more and more issues, I left that school at the end of the year and found out he had done the same thing again. That teacher walked out and pressed charges. Now I'm in a different state and couldn't be happier at my current school. Do you see why teachers are leaving?
Can't believe it. I have just resigned from my job. For those that don't know, I have been a high school teacher for the last 5 years and in a permanent role for 3 of those years, and I have just quit my job. Can't believe I'm saying that. I was not intending to resign this term. It is only term 1, but I have decided to do my business full time and I'm really nervous about it. But I know that this is the best decision for me. But what I do have is a passion and a drive to do everything in my power to make this work. So if you want to follow along, please hype this video up. Yeah, this is going to be the best thing that I ever did.
Want to know why schools cannot keep good teachers? Because some parents treat every phone call home like a courtroom trial and their child like a flawless witness. If you want to understand the teacher shortage, stop pretending it is just about salary. Yes, pay matters. Teachers make about $73,000 on average, while similar working adults make over $100,000, and teachers are working nearly 50 hours a week, well beyond their contracted time. But here is what people keep dancing around. A 2024 Pew survey found that 79% of teachers say parents do too little to hold their children accountable for behavior. 68% says parents do too little to support schoolwork. And 40% of teachers say parents are disrespectful when they communicate with them. So let's be honest about what is happening. A teacher calls home because your child is failing, skipping work, or disrupting class. And instead of asking, what can we do to fix this? The response is denial, defensiveness, or straight up disrespect. And your child is watching all of it. So now the teacher has no authority, accountability disappears, and the classroom turns into chaos. Then people act confused when teachers start leaving. And they are leaving in droves. 74% of public schools report difficulty filling these teacher positions. And even when they do, not all of those hired are fully qualified. So now add policy decisions on top of that. School districts have historically relied on international teachers to fill the gaps. But now there is this $100,000 H-1B visa fee per hire, which I've reported on before, which most districts are not paying. So one of the few backup pipelines just got cut off. So let's recap. Low pay, high stress, staff shortages, and in too many cases, a complete lack of respect from the very people teachers are trying to help. You cannot build an education system where teachers are underpaid, undermined at home, and expect to absorb all of it without breaking. That is not how you keep good teachers. That is exactly how you lose them.
I don't know how to make this video. I've tried to film it like 4 times and I keep breaking down, but I felt like I owed you guys an explanation as to why I'm leaving teaching. And you know, it's not the students. I love my students, most of them. A couple of them I really don't like at all, but for the most part I like my students, about at least 12% of them. It's not them, you know, it's not even necessarily the hours. I actually don't mind working 13 hours a day sometimes, and then going home and still grading things. And it's not even the pay. I actually think that the pay is a completely reasonable amount. In reality, it's just, I mean, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm missing out on breakfast. Sometimes I miss out on lunch when my delivery app crashes. I'm being forced to rely solely on Red Bull to get through each day. And I don't think I can do it anymore. I've got a lot of student debt. So, effective immediately, this is no longer Mr. Jan, the teacher creator account. This is Mr. Jan, the investment banker account. I've got a job with Goldman and Sachs lined up. I had to bribe my way in, but it worked. And I thought I'd be a teacher for a long time. I'm sorry, I can't.
When I was a teacher in the classroom, I would wake up at 5:30 a.m. to be at work by 7 o'clock. Keep in mind, I don't have kids and I didn't have a dog. Now I have a dog. I got my dog after I had left the regular classroom, and I'm leaving to the gym right now. It's 7:45 and there's a lot of people in my community who like have dogs and are leaving to work. So they're out walking their dog for their little potty break. And it had me thinking how much earlier I would have to wake up to walk my dog to make sure she goes potty. And I have to be at work by 7 o'clock. The fact that I start work at 8:30, but I don't instruct students until 11 o'clock, and I work remote. I'm just blessed and thankful, and I deserve this because of what had happened to me at that other school site. It was just evil. It was just pure evil. And I deserve this so much.
Okay, so this year I've decided that I'm not going to go back and teach anymore. And it's not because of the kids at all. I love what I do. I love teaching, and it's my passion. I love the kids so much. It's all the little things that have driven me away. It's not always the parents, but sometimes some of the parents are difficult. It is the non-support. When we have difficult children, we don't have a lot of support from the above admin that doesn't give support to our admin at school. Then they can't give support to us, which makes it very difficult for us to then turn around and teach all of our 21 or 20 children when we have a very difficult child. The system is just broken, and I want to leave loving what I did for 28 years with being a happy teacher instead of staying for 2 or 3 more years or 5 and being a jaded teacher and hating what I did. So I'm going to leave. So if you've ever felt this way, I'd love for you to follow along. This is going to be my journey for the next several months, maybe year. I'm not sure how bumpy this is going to get, but it's going to be pretty bumpy, I think. I'm going to have to change my resume. I haven't written a resume in 19 years. And there's going to be a lot of new different things that I'm going to have to do. So if you want to follow along, and we can all learn together, and it'll be a great trip. So follow along, and we can